Hello, welcome to my video. Today I am going to be ranking the entire discography of System of a Down. If you'd like to check out my first discography ranking, which is my last video that I did, it's Woods of Ypres if you're interested. So check that out if you're interested in the other ranking that I've done. This is only my second discography ranking so far. And I'm going to be ranking the 5 System of a Down albums: System of a Down self-titled from 1998, Toxicity from 2001, Steal This Album from 2002, Mesmerized from 2005, and Hypnotized from 2005. I'm going to be talking about which songs are my favorites, and I'm going to be giving a rating out of 100. So let's get right into it. Starting at number 5, we have System of a Down self-titled from 1998. I really appreciate the raw energy of this album, and I feel like it's probably their most emotional record, and they're definitely trying to be very out there, and they're definitely trying to do something unique, which I respect, but sometimes there are some moments on the album where it feels like they're trying too hard to be out there, and it just creates some weird execution that doesn't work well in my mind. With songs like Mind and Peephole and Cubert, especially those 3 examples, I feel like it's just trying so hard to be weird that it's not really quite as enjoyable as the rest of the album. But there are some killer tracks on here. I mean, you have like literally the first 5 songs are absolutely amazing. And then also the last song on this album, Pluck, which I feel like is a very good tribute to the people who died from the Armenian genocide. I feel like that was a very good way to end off the album. And my favorite songs on this album are No, Spiders, Soil, and Pluck. And the rating that I'm giving this album is an 88 out of 100. Next up, at number 4, I have Steal This Album from 2002. I feel like compared to System of a Down, this album is much more consistent in the quality of the songs, but I feel like the quality of the songs isn't quite awesome, it's more just very good. There are a couple of songs that are just a little bit too much out there, just like System of a Down, like songs like 36 and Pictures as well, and also Bubbles are not quite as good, and also because it's the album with the most songs, 16. It feels like sometimes there's a couple of songs that don't feel quite as important as the others, but it definitely holds up the consistency very well, quite a bit better than the self-titled album. And there's some of my favorite songs on this album. And so, speaking of which, some of my favorite songs on the album are Highway Song, Mr. Jack, IEAIAIO, Roulette, and the last song, Streamline. And this album I gave an 89 out of 100. Next up, at number 3, I have Mesmerize. This is part one of the sort of double album they did with the Mesmerize, Hypnotize albums. And I feel like it really encapsulates the feeling that they had at the moment with things that they talked about in the album, like the Iraq War and the media and things of that nature. I feel like they definitely did a very good job at encapsulating how upset they were at all the bad things that were going on in the world at the time. And it definitely reaches the point that Steal This Album didn't, where the consistency of the songs goes from very good to awesome. There are a couple of songs on this album that I'm not the biggest fan of, however, especially track 9, Sad Statue. I just don't like the song. Other than the last chorus, it just feels very awkward. Probably their most awkward song ever. So But other than that song especially, all the other songs are very good at capturing the energy, and the production on this and Mesmerize is probably my favorite production of theirs. Uh, so yeah, my favorite songs on this album are Violent Pornography, Question, and Lost in Hollywood, which leads us into number two spot, which is Hypnotize, which is their last album. And I feel like this takes what Hypnotize did and makes it even better. This transcends awesome and goes into absolutely fantastic. And there are no bad songs on this album, in my opinion. All of the songs are, at the very least, great. And I feel like, as I said, it captures the energy of their frustration and anger at the time even better than Mesmerize does. I mean, it captures the anguish that they were feeling that a lot of people felt because of the Iraq war and because of how the media was at the time and how the government acted at the time. And there are also some more chill songs about just like regular life things like Kill Rock and Roll, and I guess Vicinity of Obscenity could be about someone's normal life. I don't know whose though, but all of the songs on this album are absolutely amazing, and there's no real dip in quality. It's just very good, very great, very awesome album. And my favorite songs on this album are probably, let me think of songs that I like on this album. I like You Fig. I really like You Fig. That's a really good song. Holy Mountains is a masterpiece. Uh, Honestly, the second half of this album, all of these songs are my favorites. So we have You Fig. There's You Fig, Holy Mountains, Vicinity of Obscenity, She's Like Heroin, Lonely Day, and Soldier Side, which is one of their most beautiful songs. And I forgot to rate Mesmerize. I rated that at a 91 out of 100. And this album, Hypnotize, I rank at a 92 out of 100. Which leads us into the obvious number one, the generic number one, Toxicity. As normal as it is for this to be a System of a Down fan's favorite album, it deserves it. It is literally a masterpiece. Every single song, it hits hard like the previous album, the self-titled album does, but it is much more focused, and it is very concise, very energetic while being melodic, which I think is something that Serge and Darren said. They wanted to be more melodic on this album, and they certainly achieved it. They still had the energy, but they also had more melody, which is what I love about this album. Every single song is an absolute banger. The production is very good. The transitions in the songs, the sonic movement of it all, the riffs, the songwriting, the everything is just absolutely amazing. Honestly, this might come as a shock to everyone, but my favorite song on this album is the hidden track, R2. I think that's how you pronounce it. Let me know if I'm pronouncing it wrong. But this song, I feel like, is just so moving and powerful in comparison to the hard rock / heavy metal of the rest of the album, to just have sort of like an Armenian folk song playing. At least that's sort of what I think it's supposed to be. It's just so moving to me. I love music like that, and I want to listen to more of stuff like that. And it's so moving and powerful. And the rest of the album is moving and powerful as well, don't get me wrong. Like, all of the songs are just very intelligent and very just everything that is good about music, honestly. I would go as far to say that. And my favorite songs on this album, now that I'm done gushing, are Prison Song, Deer Dance, Chop Suey, Forest, Atwa, Psycho, Aerials, and R2. And this album I rate at a 93 out of 100. So, that is it. That is my System of a Down discography ranking. If you're watching, let me know what your opinions are in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video, depending on what it is or whatever it may be. So, goodbye.